welcome back to my channel. This is Glossy Philosophy. My name is Jansen Bidman. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. Give this video a thumbs up because today we are doing our March book talk, which is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus, so stay tuned. So before we get into the synopsis, let me just say that when I picked this book up last year and started reading it, I really thought it was going to be kind of a rom-com book, and I was completely taken off guard and beautifully surprised by this book, and I 100% recommend it to anyone who is interested in strong female characters. Before we jump into why we love Elizabeth Zott, let's kind of go through a summary. So we find our main character kind of in the midst of turmoil in her life. She's an unmarried woman in the 1960s that has a child. She comes across the situation that's happening at school with her daughter and another kid. She goes to take care of it, and it just so happens that the father of this other child is a TV producer. And as she is talking to him about the lunch situation, he decides that she has it. She has that star quality and decides to ask her to come on to his TV station and create a cooking show. A cooking show that will focus on stay-at-home mothers or just women in general concerning supper, and they call it Supper at 6. It becomes a huge success, but we don't know that at the beginning. We just know that Elizabeth Zott is in trouble. She doesn't enjoy her life at this particular moment. She's just lost her job. She kind of quit and walked out, and she is starting a new venture. We then do a flashback of how we got to this point, and we find out that Elizabeth was a chemist and has been trying to be a chemist, a female chemist in the 1960s, which feels very impossible at this point in time. And every time she seems to come upon kind of a breakthrough, something stops her. There's a huge obstacle, and it usually involves either prejudice against her being a woman or an actual physical something. She is sexually assaulted in college and cannot finish her degree. She is continuously sexually harassed throughout her career and throughout the entire book, and she's just desperate for someone to take her seriously because she takes herself seriously, and she is asked to always kind of lean into the stereotypical woman of the 1960s. And while she doesn't think there's anything wrong with that, she also knows that women are smart and they deserve to be treated as real human beings and not idiots. As we continue on this story, Elizabeth falls in love with another chemist whose name is Calvin, and the thing that they continuously butt heads against is that Calvin is so in love with Elizabeth that he wants to marry her. He wants to make her a part of his family, but she keeps saying no because she wants to stand on her own. She is a character who thinks outside of the box and really challenges the status quo. Why do we have to get married if I already feel all these feelings? Why do we have to just sign a piece of paper? It doesn't make any sense. If I do that, then I just become your wife, and everything that I've been working on my whole life kind of goes in the garbage because everyone will assume that you've been helping me. We find out later on that Calvin doesn't make it. He dies pretty quickly in the book, and it is heartbreaking from the reader's perspective, but as we finish up the story, we realize that Calvin had to die. We'll kind of dive into that a little bit later. So Elizabeth is left all alone. She finds out she's pregnant. She has her child. She is a single parent, again in the 1960s, trying to struggle and make it as a chemist. Again, no one is taking her seriously. She gets hooked up with this TV station and she wants to do Supper at 6. She wants to do more than just like, this is how you chop a carrot. She desperately loves science and all chemistry, and when she cooks, she views it in almost chemical equations, and she explains this on her show. She says, no, I won't do this, I won't do this, I won't do this, goes completely against what the station manager wants her to do, and just is herself, and again, speaks to women as if they are human, and treats them as if they have a brain. So her show becomes very popular, she is very famous, and then we see kind of the dark side of fame and what that can do to a family, what it can do to a person, and then in the end, I think Bonnie Garmus really does a great job of kind of tying up all of these loose ends and bringing all these people together. It feels slightly Jane Austen-y, where at the end all the like evil people kind of get what they deserve and all the good people get what they deserve. So it's a really nice ending and a very hopeful ending. You don't feel like they're just kind of brushing over all the things that have happened in the book, but you feel like everyone is ready for a new beginning and at least willing to try to kind of piece everything together. Now, why do we love Elizabeth Zott? I love Elizabeth Zott because she stands up for herself when she continuously is told, no, you can't do this, you're not smart enough, why don't you just go home and have babies and do all of these things? She challenges the status quo. She challenges the men in her life without being rude. She just challenges society, and she challenges, like, no, I know I'm smart enough. You're the one who's coming to me asking for help with your chemistry and your equations, and I'm the one who's providing you with the answers. So what makes you think that I'm not smart enough to be leading this team? You don't do anything. Lots of conversations like that. She certainly stands up for herself multiple times in front of multiple men who physically tried to harm her. And unfortunately, we know that this still happens today. Men in power try to take advantage of women, whether or not they are in power. And even though this book takes place in the 1960s, it just feels very relevant to today, unfortunately, that women are still not taken as seriously as men, and if a man says that they have a problem with something, everybody rushes to fix it. If a woman, she has a problem with something, oh, it's her hormones. Oh, it's just her being a woman. Oh, she's just whining and complaining. We meet other women throughout this book that are kind of secondary characters, and we see a little bit of their life journey, and it's really interesting to see them evolve and grow as well. Elizabeth Zott basically stays the same through the whole thing. Sometimes she gets deflated, sometimes she feels a little bit better, things like that, but she is true to herself through the entire thing. She knows exactly who she is, and she really challenges other women to find out who they are, what their passions are, and to go after them. And while some women in the book do have a problem with this, in the end it feels like you either are rooting for Elizabeth Zott or you're just kind of leaving her alone and letting her do what she needs to do and going about your own business, which I love, because several times on the cooking show people will raise their hands from the audience because it's done in front of a live audience. An audience member will ask her a question, and it will be something pertaining to things that she doesn't believe in or she doesn't follow herself. And she makes it very clear that it is okay that that person does, but she doesn't. And so the same respect should be given to her as she is giving to that person. And I think it's a good lesson, again, that we need to respect each other and we need to listen to each other and leave each other alone. Unless we're causing harm to somebody, everyone is entitled to their own opinions. Another of my favorite parts of this is that Elizabeth Zott will write notes to her daughter, who is brilliant, just like her mom and her dad were. And some of my favorite little lunchtime notes are: play sports at recess, but do not automatically let the boys win. And also, it is not your imagination, most people are awful. Now, I find this last one pretty humorous because in the book she's definitely having a low moment, and while I wouldn't necessarily write that on my kid's lunchbox, I appreciate how honest she is with her child and how they actually talk about things instead of trying to gloss over things, even when they are difficult, because their situation most certainly is a little bit different and they do need to talk about some hard topics. The best part about this story, in my opinion, is that the book is truly about a female character. It is more than just her falling in love and having a child. It goes beyond that. It has everything to do with her career and everything to do with her struggle to have a career and to be the person that she knows she is on the inside, and being truthful to that with the world and having the world either accept it or shut her down. And as much as it kind of shocked me and made me sad that Calvin had to pass away at the beginning of the book, I really do think that if he had continued in the story, it would have been about them and that struggle of separating herself from him. So he had to die in order for the book to continue to be just about Elizabeth Zott. And yes, we do get other people's perspectives in this book, but it is very clear that the story is about Elizabeth Zott and how she handles her life. And it's been a long time since I feel like a book I've read has been written in this modern time period where the story circles around a woman beyond having a child, beyond falling in love, that there is life after all of these things, and what happens and how are the feelings going on and how do we navigate the world. So I really recommend this book, especially again if you like strong female characters. Thank you guys so much for watching this book talk. Next month we are talking about insurance and crowdfunding and GoFundMe and basically how America is dealing with insurance policies and how we are paying for our hospital visits. I do videos every Wednesday, fashion, beauty, and books, and I will see you very soon in the next one. Bye.